There has been a lot of discussion recently regarding what would happen if the SEC appealed the current Ripple SEC case and we went to a higher level court. In this video, I want to explain what would happen to XRP investors in such a scenario. Many people believe that we might not get clarity about XRP until as far off as 2025. Along with discussing some recent developments with FTX, I want to demonstrate to you guys why I do not believe that to be the case. Hello, and welcome back to XRP Ripple News, where we bring you the most recent and intriguing XRP news. We're giving away 500 XRP to those who are watching. All you have to do is upvote, subscribe, comment XRP is king, and watch the video to the end to be eligible. Since there are some extremely intriguing developments between FTX and the SEC at the moment, David Schwartz and Brad Garlinghouse have hinted that something significant is about to happen, so I want to speak about that as well as a potential large event that could be coming up for XRP and Ripple. I want to demonstrate to you what I am observing and why I believe it will occur, as well as some highly bullish news that is gradually entering the market. Males, make sure to stay for that, you won't want to miss it. I'd like to begin this video. I'm going to discuss a subject that is crucial. And that is what takes place if the SEC challenges the judge's judgment and pushes the matter to a higher level court. Okay, it's crucial to note that the majority of the attorneys who are currently monitoring this case believe that Ripple will prevail. And XRP investors will understand why this is the case, as XRP is not a security, as we have frequently discussed on this channel. Because of John D. and John D., I firmly believe that XRP holders will receive clarity regarding their holdings. They require clarification on the status of their XRP so they may use it in the future, and as a crucial piece of evidence in this action, they are attempting to persuade the judge that the SEC has damaged regular investors. What would happen if the SEC asked Judge Torres to say that even though you made your decision and ruled on it, we're appealing that, so we're asking you not to sign that into law until we go through our appeals? This is a question that people have been asking in Zeman, and it was brought up in an article earlier today. Because of the situation this would push XRP holders into, we wouldn't have clarity on XRP until the SEC finished appealing this ruling. Who can say how long this will take? Even the possibility of this proceeding all the way to the Supreme Court has been raised by some. And let me just say to you all that it would not be a quick ordeal. But I believe Ashley Prosper has it spot on here. If someone who was genuinely wealthy had to do this, she would decline to engage in this Ripple's business, and our investments have already been held hostage for too long. And folks, I wholeheartedly concur with Ashley Prosper on this. Judge Torres has not yet made any indications that she may turn against Ripple and XRP holders. According to all we have seen, Judges Torres and Byrne appear to have had a favorable attitude toward XRP investors. And it has actually violated SEC policies. It simply doesn't seem like something Judge Torres would do, therefore I don't think there's any chance that Judge Horace will downplay her decision to the point where she says, "Oh, it doesn't matter until the SEC gets their appeal through." She is aware that certain XRP owners in the US require access to their XRP. John Dean brought up elderly people whose retirement money had been frozen. Judge Torres will not keep those folks in limbo while this case is appealed as a result of this case. We'll know more about XRP if Ripple wins this case, even if the SEC decides to appeal. The length of time between Judge Torres' ruling and the SEC's appeal of this case. If another judgment is reached by the appeals court, that is an entirely different problem. However, based on what I have learned from those who have been following this issue, there is a slim chance, less than 3%, that a higher court will reverse Judge Torres' decision if Ripple does. Therefore, the only reason the SEC would even consider appealing it, let alone do so, is to further postpone XRP's regulatory clarification. I'm saying right now that I don't believe Judge Torres would permit this postponement. I believe she would uphold her judgment, regardless of what the SEC says, if she had decided that XRP was not a security. And for that ruling to be overturned, the SEC would have to actually succeed in an extremely unlikely appeal. I don't really believe it poses much of a threat, whether that makes it appeal or not. If the SEC wants to expend any more time and money on this, I believe it will ultimately result in another setback for them. Right now, it seems like XRP won't qualify as a security. Ashley Prosper made a really good point, in my opinion. And gentlemen, as a counterpoint to that, the thing we really need to look at is what Ripple is doing, because what I have to say about it, what my opinion is, only really matters so much. And as of the present, 1296 job vacancies are published on Ripple. Guys, Ripple is prepared for exponential growth. The company has never faced anything like this. Guys, Ripple is aware that they have a highly promising future. They have zero concern about the SEC and have no concern whatsoever for its appeals. They are aware that clarification would finally come. And even if it takes the US a bit longer, the rest of the globe will still advance. The United States will eventually realize that they can no longer afford to promote blockchain technology. They're going to give in eventually and realize they need the technology. And guys, when they eventually reach that conclusion and the SEC backs off, they will realize they have stepped way out of bounds. Okay, gentlemen, Ripple will be prepared to grow and spread in the US. And I believe that all it really takes is time. In the end, this only demonstrates Ripple's, they are actually concerned about expanding their business. Guys, I've mentioned it before, but I don't think we should be concerned if waves aren't. I also wanted to touch briefly on this. This piqued my interest somewhat. Evidently in the SEC's brief for summary judgment. An attorney friend commented on this when they uploaded a ton of exhibits without even citing them. He claimed that Judge Torres would detest this because almost all judges do. According to him, if you're preparing a summary judgment brief and you want to include several exhibits, make sure to cite them to demonstrate their relevance. The SEC apparently crammed 700 random exhibits into their summary judgment report, never ever using that evidence. It merely demonstrates how highly the SEC considers itself in comparison to others. They believe they can act however they like without consequence. But once more, gentlemen, I fear that things will go horribly wrong. And folks, the SEC should not be seeking alternative solutions to assess Torres. Judge Torres will ultimately decide this case. She will render the final decision. So I wouldn't play games like this if I were the SEC, particularly if Attorney Fred is correct in asserting that all judges detest it when parties behave in this manner. Guys, last night we did learn some very amazing things. Former FTX executives Gary Wang and Caroline Ellison appear to be the targets of the SEC's current investigation. And, gentlemen, they're now referring to the FTT token as a security. I'm about to argue why you should be happier than ever. Because Caroline Ellison and Gary Wang are about to accept guilt and effectively admit all the SEC claims are accurate, there is currently a ripple effect in this SEC case. The only tokens this won't work for are XRP and perhaps Bitcoin as well because they've already given up on Bitcoin, but the SEC is about to score another victory by declaring the FTT token to be a security. Gary Gensler will then start naming every token on the market a security. Because XRP has the freedom to choose its own course, Ripple will battle the SEC, and Ripple will prevail. And a judge will rule that the SEC cannot assert that XRP is a security. But the SEC will now have the authority to declare that practically every token on the market is a security because of this FTP issue and the other victories they have obtained. Because of Ripple's involvement in this matter, we were actually very fortunate to receive clarification from the court. We won't obtain answers from some dishonest politicians. Instead, we will get clarity via the legal system. And folks, it's really beginning to seem as though this case might have been a blessing in disguise since Gary Gensler will get to take action against all the various cryptocurrencies right before he has the power to label them as securities. Well, gentlemen, Ripple is waging their own battle. Let's see what happens. We'll receive our decision from the courts, not the SEC. But wouldn't it be fascinating if the SEC finally gave XRP a status that no other cryptocurrency could obtain after all this time? Guys, I think that would be one of those instances where we would look back on this case and say, maybe there was something deeper going on here because their case against Ripple was so weak. Let's just wait and see what transpires for the time being. I also wanted to touch briefly on this. This is quite fascinating. This has been growing for some time. Currently, David Schwartz is following 589 individuals and Brad Garlinghouse is following 589 people. Backwards 985-4589 people, guys. Does this mean anything? We need to see if they're doing this on purpose. Whether or not they're trying to signal something, who knows, or this is just a cruel joke they like to play. But guys, to chance that they're doing this at the same time, it's not a coincidence, it's coordinated on some level. We haven't seen anything for why they would be doing this, but just something to keep an eye on. Guys, these individuals are going to be incorrect someday when the market is this overwhelmingly pessimistic and everyone is on the same side of the transaction. Is that the case right now? We'll have to wait and see whether it happens in a month or over a few months, but guys, this can only be out of whack for so long. Just as it was out of whack to the upside, it will be out of whack to the downside, and this will come crashing back down just when people least expect it, right when things will be so bearish that nothing good can happen. Everything is going to change on a dime, and I simply think it's a really good indicator for guys to see that not everyone is always correct. Typically, the typical investor makes a mistake. Right now, it appears that every single investor in the market is a short seller. I believe there should be a change. Anyway, people, I truly appreciate your visit and hope you enjoyed this update. If so, please remember to like and subscribe, it would be really appreciated.